Guys think they want a goth girlfriend until they find out all their decorations come from the spirit of Halloween. Very cozy. They only have one table and it's completely covered in candle wax. Do you have any more tables? You found out her and her friends are trying to sacrifice you to summon the winged demon lord Malthus.
Is it worth it?
What's going on, nerds? Time to read the card. Morgan Le Fay is a 4 energy, 7 power card that reads on reveal, return all your discarded and destroyed cards to your hand with +3 power. Overall impressions of Morgan. It looks cool and I want to like it, but I feel like the juice is not going to be worth the squeeze. From the hot takes and all the feedback I've gotten on that section of the video, it seems like most people feel this way. You look at it and you're like, that could be sweet. And then you think about it for 10 seconds, you're like, that's not sweet. Kind of like Infinity Ultron. When you play Infinity Ultron, most of the time you're just like, I could have played a good 5-cost card instead. But it works. When it works, you're really impressed with it and it makes you want to keep playing it. But really, you shouldn't be doing that. It's confirmation bias. I do think it will find a new home and probably spawn a new discard archetype that doesn't do the Dracula apocalypse thing, but I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. This feels like one of the cards that like a month or 2 months from now, when someone actually figures it out or a new card comes out to make this card better, that it actually catches on and people start using it. Let's check out y'all's takes on Morgan Le Fay. All right, so the first one we got here is from Jonathan Storms, and I picked this one because this pretty much explains how I think most people feel about this card. Too many moving parts, requires too much energy to make happen, requires discarding worthy cards, which on top of that, you have to discard them early, playing Morgan, and then playing those cards, which requires more energy. That's a lot of bullshit you have to go through to get +3 power on a couple of cards. We got Basiltan with more of a question than a take really, but I thought it was pretty relevant to the video. It says, does it work with V-Hand, Victoria Hand, for the Swarm discards and Fae? Throw in Cerebro as well. So with Victoria Hand, she's not gonna buff the one that you get back with Morgan Le Fay. That's the original one you discarded, therefore not generated in your hand, therefore not buffed by Vicky Handy. But she will buff all the other ones. We know that works. And throw in Cerebro 2.
Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
All right, we got Joseph saying new discard archetype. Yeah, maybe. Discard ones, Blade, Colleen, Swordmaster, bring back ones with Morgan, and then dump on turn 6. Worst Series 5 card of the month. That's still good. I do think the new discard archetype that this card could, maybe, might create is basically a Khonshu list that does like Khonshu and Morgan Le Fay instead of Dracula and Apocalypse. But Joseph's also saying, just put a bunch of 1-cost cards in your deck and bring them back. Sure, maybe, yeah, I could see that working as well. I'm not too excited to try it out and lose a bunch of games, but it could work. We got Nerek saying basically second Ghost Rider for when you discard your Hela, +3 power. I guess you got to remember that Ghost Rider just brings back the card. You still have to spend the extra 6 energy with Morgan Le Fay if you want to bring back your Hela, but technically it could be a backup plan for Hela. Sure. Got Grivik with I'm legitimately stumped on this one. I feel like there's a way to make this very powerful, but it's complicated, and complicated cards never do well. Also, cards that take a lot of effort to make good usually are never good, and it's not a great sign for Morgan. The next section of this video is the good and the bad of Morgan Le Fay. Transition. Okay, first thing we got here, there's nothing like it. Really, there's nothing like this card in the game. Ghost Rider, I guess, is the most comparable thing, but not really at all. Yeah, there's just, if this card is good or it catches on, you have to have it. There's no way you can play a deck with Morgan Le Fay without Morgan Le Fay. Second thing here, decent base stats. Usually when cards like have an effect that seems powerful, even if Morgan's is a little complicated and you have to jump through a bunch of hoops, usually cards that have effects that seem good don't have great base stats. She's a 7 power card, so you really only have to play 1 or 2 more cards to make her worth, like cards that she puts back in your hand. You only have to play 1 or 2 to make her worth it. So yeah, I think her decent base stats are fine. And then third thing here, new discard sub-archetype. We touched on this already, but basically a Khonshu Morgan deck. You'll see it in the example deck list here in a minute. On to the bad. It's a 2-deck card. Even if this card is good, it's only going to be good in a weird discard deck or some weird deck with like Elixir and Kid Omega, who's not even out yet, and Carnage and Venom. But I think that's bad. I think really we should only be considering Morgan in the discard shell. All right, and the second thing here, it makes timing awkward. What I mean by the timing is awkward is usually on the first couple of turns on the game, what you're discarding is like Swarms and Scorn. And then on turn 4, you're doing more discard stuff. So I think the fact that this is a 4-drop makes it really awkward. It would either, I think they should maybe reduce all the stats around discard to make it like a 2/3 that adds +2 or something like that. Or a 2/2 that adds +2. That way you can, you know, do your discarding stuff, and then when it comes to like turn 4 or 5 and you actually want to play Morgana, you can play it with another card, play it with another discard card, or play it with another destroy card to actually get some decent value out of this thing. Last thing here, power buff 3 times since preview. Not a good sign. So yeah, when this card was like first data mined or whatever, most cards change, but it was like a different cost, and then it was a 5 power, and now it's a 7 power. We didn't know 7 power until the developer update. And usually when a card gets changed that many times before release, you can expect the card to be subpar because the developers played with it and they had to make it better and better each time to be like, okay, we can release this card and people won't be too angry at how bad it is. Usually with cards that are really good, they'll get previewed and everyone's like, why the hell is that a card? And then when it's time to release the card, it's a little worse or a little different than what we saw it as when it was first previewed. All right, example decks. The first one here is how I think Morgana can be decent, and it's a 5 power because everywhere online the past couple of days did not have a 7 power Morgana on the deck builder sites. But yeah, you're just playing as cheap as stuff as possible to discard with Morgana, namely Meek, Swarm, and then you're discarding stuff like on 3, and then you're playing Morgana on 4. And then you have Khonshu to bring back stuff if you didn't draw Morgana. So yeah, I think that might be okay. I'm going to try that at least. It's the first place I'm trying. The second one is similar, but instead of Morbius, we are leaning into Fenris Wolf because we're playing Moon Knight, Gambit, and Stature instead. And then the third thing here is my best attempt at like a destroy shell with Morgana. I don't think you can play it with regular destroy cards. I think you have to play it with like Elixir weird stuff. And here it'll bring back Bucky, Uncle Ben, maybe like a Killmonger or a Carnage that you ate. Maybe even you ate your Elixir and then you get back an Elixir and then you play it again. That seems kind of cool. Or you play it on turn 5 after you Misery or something like that, which would be pretty decent. I think this last deck here though actually gets a shot at being good or relevant when Kid Omega comes out, if Kid Omega isn't changed. If you don't know, it's a 2/2 that says destroy the next card you play to gain its power. All right, these are the possible cards you could be getting in the seasonal snap pack. Yeah. Let's just go. We'll tokens first. Do I think it's a good idea to spend 6k tokens on Morgan Le Fay? I really don't. Even if you're like, I have 6k tokens right now and I think it would be kind of decent, I think you should just save for other cards coming out this season. Rather than Morgan Le Fay. That was a garbage truck if you guys heard that. Yeah, as far as seasonal snap packs go, I would say if you don't have like, if you're only missing Surge and Morgan Le Fay, then sure, open packs for it. You'll get one of those 2 cards, which is fine. But if you're missing like, you know, most of these cards, don't open packs for Morgan Le Fay. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Later, nerds.